Could the Orville be saved as Disney force Hulu to continue with the series? Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. Disney does own a big portion of the Hulu streaming service, and they are about to buy the rest. They are about to spend over $8 billion to actually purchase the remaining shares and the remaining portion of Hulu and pull that service within. They are going to be offering Hulu as part of the Disney Plus package with ESPN at a discounted rate if you want all three services in one. Over here in the UK, in fact, actually, Hulu's shows pretty much already appear on Disney Plus. You don't really know the difference. It just says Hulu at the start. For example, the movie Prey, a brilliant movie produced by Hulu, actually just appeared on Disney Plus as if it was a Disney Plus film. So I don't think this very expensive acquisition is actually going to make any difference to me. But it will to you lovely Americans, as Hulu is one of those platforms that has actually increased its value over the last few years. It's got over 52 million subscribers in the US, and that hasn't really decreased during this big credit crunch. People seem to like the platform. So how does this finalized acquisition finally actually help us with the Orville? Well, we've been waiting desperately for one more series of the Orville ever since New Horizons. Now, I was able to tell you a while ago that Hulu were discussing this with Seth MacFarlane and his production company, but they wanted to basically produce the fourth series with a much lower budget. They spent a lot of money on New Horizons, and even though it was successful and it was popular, it was not as popular as they were hoping. It didn't quite reach the heights they were hoping for. It just did okay. So they basically were discussing it and saying that let's do it, but let's do it at a more reasonable budget. Now, I don't think Seth MacFarlane had any problem at all with that suggestion, and they were moving forwards. I've also, though, been able to tell you that actually Seth MacFarlane is very busy with other projects like the TED TV series, and that if the Orville does return, Seth MacFarlane was talking about having a much smaller part in it, that he was really going to step back quite a lot from the series. Now, this is when Hulu started to have its reservations, and I was told that several months ago now, while the strikes were on, Hulu did inform Seth MacFarlane and his production company that they were not going to be picking up a fourth season of The Orville. Don't forget that if you're enjoying the video and you want to help support the channel, we need your thumbs up on the video, and we need you to throw a comment on. It really helps with those tricky little YouTube algorithms. Now, they agreed not to publicly announce this, basically because they were just going to try to find another home for the show. And those conversations have been continuing. Now, at the moment, Disney and Hulu do have the rights to this series. So if they decided to pick up those rights, they would get a fourth season of The Orville. But why do I say Disney may force Hulu to produce this series? Well, from what I'm being told by a very trusted source that works over quite closely with Disney, there are people and high-up executives at Disney that would love to see the Orville return. They were very much involved with getting the show up and running in the first place. Those people, though, are at Disney, not Hulu. And while Hulu is still at least partly owned by Comcast, those people over at Disney that want the fourth season do not have the authority to instruct Hulu to do a damn thing. Hulu was saying, we don't fancy it, and the people at Disney that support it really had their hands tied. And for the last 6 months or so, it was not 100% certain that this sale, Disney basically buying the rest of Comcast's share in Hulu, was actually going to go ahead. There were some disagreements about the overall value of Hulu. To explain this really quickly, this deal, actually between Disney and Comcast to buy the remaining stake of Hulu, was based on a valuation of Hulu nearly 2 years ago. That valuation was of well over $50 billion. Comcast said that that is a contract, and they told Disney, that's the price, you've already agreed the price, you need to pay it. However, Disney questioned its value. They said since the credit crunch and since now the strikes, its value has decreased, and they wanted to pay a smaller amount for the remaining shares. Comcast said no. And well, there's basically been 6 months of discussions. We'll call it discussions because that sounds politer than downright arguments. But Disney failed in that argument. The contract that they'd agreed was legally binding, and they are going to pay over $8 billion for the remaining share that Comcast currently own. This also, though, means that the people that want the Orville will all of a sudden be in a position to instruct Hulu to make it. And that does mean that maybe early in 2024, we will get an announcement on a 4th season of the Orville. Now, this is a massive turnaround, and actually, something that's a bit strange recently. We're going to have to thank Disney for doing something we want. That's going to be a little strange and a little bit difficult for some of you. So we may get a 4th season of the Orville after all. Maybe with Captain Grayson in charge rather than Captain Mercer. And maybe with a slightly smaller budget. Let's see if, once this sale goes through, Disney actually do pull the trigger and Hulu are going to be producing a new series of the Orville. But guys, get into the comments, tell me what you think. Is this a show that must return, even if Seth MacFarlane isn't as involved as he once was, and even if we do get a slightly smaller budget? Or, actually, did Season 3 New Horizons end beautifully, and, you know, maybe we don't need any more of the Orville? And maybe we don't need Disney forcing Hulu to make something it doesn't really want to make. I'd love to know exactly what you think, so please get into the comments. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out. You'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek, which is where most of our videos premiere first. And you get to see them without the adverts for a small contribution each month that really supports the channel. Also, you can go to scitrek.co.uk, which is our dedicated website where we do articles based on a lot of our videos, and we try to add a little bit more information for you to digest. Go and check it out. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.